Hey, this is Michael with the Road Diaries, and I'm here with Mr. Chris Horner. It's been 3 days after the Tour de France. Welcome back from your, what would that be, your fourth Tour de France, Chris?
Fourth Tour de France, yeah.
And obviously you finished in 10th position. You were the best placed Radio Shack rider. Got to be proud of your accomplishment. Tell us, first of all, about your experience at the Tour. I understand you didn't ride for yourself except a few stages, but tell us, what you went into and what you came out of this tour with.
Well, Team Radio Shack went into the tour 100% focused for Lance to run for a podium, if not win in his 8th Tour de France. And certainly looked like he had the form to do so. And we just ran into a bunch of bad luck, of course, on the cobblestone day where he flatted and lost time there. And then the second mountaintop summit finish day where he crashed 3 times that day before we got to the finish. So had a lot of different objectives going on after Lance had crashed. From that point on, we had Levi, of course, to look after for GC. We had the team classification. We had stage classifications. And we also had just taken care of Lance still to the finish to see if his form could return in time for him to come back and try to win a stage or do an amazing ride on one of the remaining mountaintop days.
So essentially you went in as a worker and you kind of emerged as a leader at the end, and then you began to ride for yourself and ended up 10th, just being consistent day to day.
Yeah, I think I went in as a worker and finished as a worker, and I just happened to finish 10th.
Okay.
Certainly I rode, I got to ride for myself on the stage 17 on the mountaintop summit finish when we finished on the Tourmalet. Just happened to work out that day where I wasn't spending energy to getting into the early break covering moves for the team classification because the break had gotten away and we had already 4 or 5 guys that were dedicated to covering the moves before that went, and it just happened to be that when we hit the Tourmalet, the legs were still good, so I was able to ride with the front group, which helped us, was more riding with the front group to help for the team classification, put more time in. It just happened to be that it got me into 14th on GC there, and then later after the stage we realized that I'd moved up even in the top 10 on that day.
Now, for those of us who've never ridden the Tour, and that's most all of us, you've ridden 4. How does the Tour change you as a rider, short and long term? I mean, physically, it has an effect on you. I know you're a little bit beaten up right now,
Yeah.
but long term, what does it do to you? And what are your feelings? How do you feel?
Well, long term, directly is it. Certainly, you understand that when you have bad days, you can get through them. I've had some incredibly bad days at the Tour de France that you could still get through, recover, and then have good days. And so on smaller races, when you have those bad days, a lot of times you'll just drop out and go home, but you don't realize that if you can get through that one bad day, that tomorrow you can still possibly win a stage, or even like for me, I even finished top 10. I mean, before the stage 17 on the finish of the Tourmalet. Before that, I'd had 2 pulled hamstrings. My calf muscle has a small little tear or cramp or something like that in it. That was causing a lot of problems. I had a cold. The whole team was passing around cold, flu-like symptoms throughout the weeks before or throughout the weeks of the tour, and so a lot of things you were dealing with on different days where you felt bad, and then on the Tourmalet where I felt good, and then finishing 10th at the Tour de France, which is a fantastic result. And so a lot of times though, when you would go through those kind of symptoms at a smaller race, you just drop out, and you realize from the Tour when you're not saving anything. When you're at the Tour de France, you're not saving anything for another race. Versus when you're at smaller races, if you're hurt or injured or sick, a lot of times you'll drop out because you might have Liège, best on Liège right around the corner. So you're going to save some fitness or something, try to recover in time to be 100% for Liège. Versus at the Tour, it teaches you that you can have these bad days and then 1, 2, 3 days later turn around and have the best form of your life.
So, okay. Seems like a great lesson for every rider, sort of to just battle through what you can. And
Absolutely.
Yeah. As far as this tour goes, what was your highlight? Was it your 10th place? Was it a particular stage? Was it a particular day where you felt like you contributed more to the team than?
There's a bunch of different stages that were highlights. Certainly, this stage when we finished in Mende was one of the hardest stages in the Tour de France. Spectacularly hard. The stage when I was in the break with Lance, that was unbelievable day. Right from the start, the field had exploded into pieces all over the place. And at one moment, I was in the front brake helping Lance out, trying to save as much form, help him save as much form as he possibly could to win the stage. And then moments later, I was in the second chase group, and then I was back in the front brake again with Lance. And next thing you know, you're going for the stage win. So that was a exciting and fun day. Hard at the same time, but exciting and fun. That's really one of the stages. We did the stage de Mende and the stage where I was in the break with Lance, and then of course the Tourmalet. Those are 3 days that you just won't forget in this year's Tour de France. Certainly the cobblestone day was exciting, and it was what I believe, of course, not to be. I don't think they're necessary to be in the Tour, but it was still exciting and a fun day. Had so much going on and so much intensity, and so you're never going to forget those days, and those days are why you go to the Tour de France. There was one rider that had written that he was dropping out of the Tour because he was too tired, and I just thought, we were kind of joking about it on the team when we had read his quote that he's too tired, he's dropping out of the Tour, and this wasn't during the stage, this was after the stage at night, and so he wasn't going to start the next day. And we were just all laughing that you're too tired. I mean, what did you expect? You're at the Tour de France. Of course you're too tired. We're all too tired.
Hey, tell us. You've got 15 years experience. Certainly one of the more respected guys in the peloton. We watch you every day. Sometimes at the front, sometimes at the back. Most of the time towards the front, middle, whatever. You're in there talking to people. I think a lot of people want to know who you're talking to and what you're talking about. What kind of just general things are happening, and are you seeking out the same guys every day to talk to? Are you talking to younger riders?
Yeah, certainly talking a little bit to everybody. I mean, now there's a lot more English speaking in the group. The groups that I'm racing with, when I first went over with Frances de Jure, a lot of times the group I was racing, the races I was doing, you kind of travel with the same group of guys, and there wasn't as much English speaking back in those days as there are now. So now most of the riders, a good portion of the riders, speak English, and some of the other ones, of course, between English and French and a little bit of Spanish, there's a lot of different guys I can speak with. So I mix it up from time to time, but I spend a little bit of time talking with some of the younger guys like Brooke Walter and stuff, and who's been having a fantastic start with BMC, and you look at that, and Tyler Farrar, and certainly Roman. So there's always mixing up Jens. I'm always talking with Jens Voigt and stuff, and he's a nice guy.
What does Jens like to talk about?
Just same stuff I do. Fatherhood comes up often. He's got kids. He's got a bunch of kids. I got a bunch of kids. So we'll talk kid and stuff like that, and just about the bike racing in general. So but the conversation's usually the same as you would with anyone, any of your friends out there.
Is there a lot of gossip going on? A lot of gossip?
No, not so much.
No?
Not with me, anyways.
All right. Well, tell us where you go from here, career-wise, and for the rest of the year.
Well, let's start with the rest of the year, because that's what I know of. Career, I'm not certain of, but the rest of the year, Elk Grove this weekend. So race Elk Grove, go back to Bend, Oregon, my hometown, and relax there with my kids. And then I take off to San Diego, which is my other hometown. San Diego is my hometown where I grew up, and Bend, Oregon is my new hometown. And so but I've lived in Oregon now for going on 10 years or something like that, or 10 years or something. So I consider both Bend and San Diego home. So I'm going to go back and spend some time off and relax there, and then I'll come back for the Canadian Pro Tour races, and then go back to Europe for Paris-Bourges, Paris-Tours, Piemonte, and Lombardia, and then I'll finish the season.
Now, Lombardia is one of your favorite races, correct?
Absolutely. It's a beautiful course, beautiful race.
All right, so that might be a goal for the final part of the season?
I think it will be. I think so.
All right, hey, this is Michael with Chris Warner, Team Radio Shack. Appreciate your time, appreciating you sticking around, staying at the house here, and keeping the pillow square.
Yeah, we got the pillows good.
All right, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. All right.